Welcome to our Epoxy Flake Floor System course. In this course, we'll walk you through the entire process of installing a flake floor from start to finish. Our goal is to give you the knowledge, confidence, and skills to complete your own projects and feel prepared walking onto your first job site. This course was filmed on an actual customer's project, not in a fake environment. You'll get to see how the process is done in the real world, including the preparation, application, and techniques used to create professional quality epoxy floors. The course is only a small part of what you're getting access to. The other half is a community here on school. Inside the community, you'll have a place to ask questions, share your work, and get feedback. You'll learn from others who are actually installing floors. So whatever situation you're in, you'll have the support from the people who understand the process. Now let's get into it. The first thing you want to do when you get on site is assess the whole project so you know how to plan for your day. We'll need to remove this drain cover so it doesn't get damaged in the coating or grinding process. Next, you want to look for any cracks or pits that you're going to have to repair. We have one crack running here that we'll need to cut open and repair. We'll be coating the inside of this closet so you'll get to see exactly how we handle the tighter spaces like this. We'll also be coating these little ledges. This one needs a lot of repair and this one needs a bit. The client wants the coating to stop at the driveway. Some might ask to have the coating stop at the door. We'll be adding videos teaching you how to do that at a different time. And now we've seen the whole site. This is all the equipment we use to prep the floor. We use a 8,000 running watt generator, a 22-inch rotary walk-behind grinder. Underneath we have number 16 soft bond diamonds because this concrete floor has a really hard finish. And we use a 275 CFM vacuum. We use a 7-inch hand grinder to do all of the major edging. We use the 5-inch for the smaller spaces, and also a cutting disc. For safety, we use a P100 mask and a pair of headphones. We recommend safety glasses when cutting cracks. Now it's time to grind the floor. A good tip is to tilt the hand grinder up just a bit when you're doing that first pass. It will get you the closest and best grind against the wall. This simple trick can save you a lot of time. And then you can blend it into that first pass. Grind all the way around the perimeter and come out about a foot. The further you come out, the easier it is for the person running the walk behind grinder, which will save you time because you won't have to grind spots. When you're all done, it should look like this. All of the corners and edges are grinded, and you made sure that anywhere that the big grinder wouldn't be able to fit, you did by hand. We'll now be showing you guys how we repair this crack. To start, you'll need a hand grinder with a cutting disc on it. Now precisely chase out the crack and cut about a 1/4 inch deep depending on the crack size. For dust collection, you can just follow the hand grinder with a vacuum like this. After you're done, make sure you vacuum all the dust out of the crack. It's really important for the repair gel to bond. Here's everything you need. You want a rag for cleanup, a putty knife, and we use a 2-part epoxy gel crack filler. You can get something like this from your supplier. You want mixing sticks and then something to mix on. Like I said earlier, the gel we use is 2 parts and it's a 2-to-1 ratio. You can just eyeball these measurements for the gel. Once you have it measured, you have to thoroughly mix it together. When you're filling the crack, apply pressure so the gel fully fills the crack. This way it won't sink later on. Also make sure to leave no gel on the surface because you can see that underneath the coating. When you're all done, it should look like this. This is all the material and equipment we use to pour the base coat. We'll be using 80 pounds of domino flake. For the base coat, we'll be using a 100% solids pre-tinted fast cure epoxy. This stuff is dry to the touch in 2 hours, so it's perfect for 1-day installs. And we use xylene to clean up any drips or spills. For the equipment, we use 2 buckets to hold flakes, mixing cups for measuring epoxy, our spiked shoes so we don't leave footprints in the epoxy, a drill with a paddle on it for mixing, paint brushes for cutting in, gloves, and then your roller and squeegee. This is how we pour the base coat and flake the floor. We'll be mixing a smaller batch to make it out of the closet, and then we'll do another mix after to finish the garage. This buys us just a little bit more time because the fast cure epoxy only has around 10 to 15 minutes of working time, and the closet will take a little bit longer to cut in, so always plan ahead like that. The second that the B and A mix, that timer starts, so you gotta start moving fast. Now we mix the epoxy for 2 minutes. When you're pouring out the epoxy, pour it along the walls, this way you don't have to squeegee puddles across the room. When you're getting to the end of dumping out a bucket, only hold it upside down for 5 seconds, and anything left inside don't use. This is because unmixed epoxy will sit at the bottom of the bucket. Now we'll start to pull the epoxy with the squeegee, and a good tip after you get a little bit better with the squeegee is angling it slightly against the wall, and this can do up to 70% of the cutting in for you, meaning you'll use your paintbrush a lot less. But this is something you'll get better at the more you do it. Any areas that the squeegee missed will do by hand. Things such as corners, edges, or underneath doors. Now we're starting to work out of the closet. The way we handle the situation is finding the nearest relief line. You can treat this square as its own floor for the first mix, so you can do all your rolling, back rolling, and flaking, because this first mix will be running out of time. Then we can do our next mix and keep moving. Now that this square is fully squeegeed out, we'll start the rolling. When you start your rolling, roll north to south, and then east to west. This way you make sure to knock down any high spots. Now that we have it all rolled out, we're going to start flaking. Throw the flake high in the air so it lands evenly, and the goal with this is just to get the epoxy covered, and we'll come back after the whole floor is rolled out to flake it again. Now that we're almost done flaking this section, we'll start to mix that last kit. The same as last time, we'll just dump this epoxy out, and then we'll start to squeegee it. For the apron in the front end of the garage, we always pull the squeegee along the lip, and then you can come with the brush and cut in the rest. Now we're going to do the same rolling patterns one more time. After it's all rolled out, we'll flake the entire floor. When you're throwing the flake, you want to throw until rejection, and this way you can ensure the epoxy will not bleed through. If there isn't enough flake, it can sink and allow the epoxy to show, and then you'll have to do some repairs. The rates of coverage for the flake is around 250 square feet per 40 pounds, but we always throw a little bit extra. This garage is 338 square feet, and we're throwing down 80 pounds. We'll look for any epoxy that's bleeding through, and we'll throw extra flake in that spot. And now we'll go on a 2-hour break while we let this epoxy cure. We'll come back later to scrape this, and then put the top coat on. Now that the epoxy has had around 2 hours to cure, it should be hard enough that we can walk on it and start scraping the floor. We're going to start by doing one scraping pass. During this pass, we mainly focus on pushing any loose flake that did not bond to the epoxy against the walls so we can collect it. This extra flake can be saved and reused on another job, but it's important that you only collect flake from the first scraping pass. After a few scrapes, the flake will start to break down into smaller pieces, and those smaller pieces won't give you the same quality finish on another floor. Once we've collected as much flake as we can, we're going to do 2 more scraping passes from north to south, and the second pass will be west to east. Scraping in the different directions help ensure we remove any loose flake and create a smooth surface for the top coat. For any areas where the scraper didn't reach, like corners, we just use a small putty knife and it lets you get right into the corner. It's very important that every inch of this floor is scraped. After we finished all the scraping, we're going to give the floor a very detailed vacuum. Take your time with this step and make sure you get all of the loose flake, especially around the edges and the corners. Once the floor is completely vacuumed, we've double checked that there is no loose flake and we're ready to do the top coat. For the material, we'll be using a 2-part polyaspartic with extended working time, and this goes about 100 square feet a gallon. We'll need our spiked shoes, brushes, gloves, the mixing drill, our squeegee and roller, and then a bucket to mix in. Like I mentioned earlier, polyaspartic covers around 100 square feet per gallon, so for this garage, we'll be mixing up 4 gallons. This gives us just a little bit extra so we don't come up short. We'll mix this for 1.5 minutes. Just like the base coat, we'll be treating this closet and just outside of it like its own floor, and once this is fully finished, we'll move on to the rest of the floor. Now we're going to squeegee the polyaspartic up to that relief line. The polyaspartic can stay in a bucket because it sitting in mass won't make it set up faster, so you can just dump it as you go. You'll see we use the same technique as the epoxy with the squeegee. We'll angle it slightly towards the wall so it does most of the cutting in for us. Now we'll do the north to south and east to west rolls, and now we'll do the final back roll on this square. This is the final roll you do before it's done. The back roll should always be done horizontal to the garage door, this way you don't see any lines. Now that that first square is done, we can focus on finishing the rest of the floor. We'll start by squeegeeing the polyaspartic all across the floor. After you've covered the floor and you've done your north to south and east to west rolls, you can do that final back roll. Take your time with this step and make sure you don't miss any spots. This is the final roll that gives it that glassed out look. Now we are all done. There are a few more things we're going to show you, such as how we shut the garage door so it doesn't sit on the lip and mess up that new top coat, as well as setting up caution tape and etc. But this is the main install completed. Like I mentioned at the start of the course, the real value lies in the community. All of your questions can be answered there by professionals, and it's a great place to show off your work and get feedback. So don't hesitate at all to post questions there, and in fact, we encourage it. Customers will not want their garage door open for 2 days while this cures, so what we do is we put zip ties in the door tracks, and this allows the garage door to sit on those zip ties and only have it open about a foot, and it's easy for the customers to cut those zip ties when the floor is dry. Always make sure you disengage the garage door before you get off of the floor. The very last thing we do before we leave site is set up some caution tape so people who aren't aware that the floor is wet will know not to go on it. This is something you should always do, especially on porches.